You don't know that I'm wearing pajamas below this camera? Fantastic. My name is Curtis. Morning, everybody. Today, let's have some fun. Let's actually talk about cartoons instead of rambling about other things and just going cartoon time as a way to escape whatever it was I was talking about, or I went too far off uh, into the oblivion that is Tangent Lane. Um, Today, yeah, let's let's talk about a few of the things that have been on, and just how cartoons or just animation in general has gotten too real. Hmm? I'm gonna say, whatever happened to cartoon physics? Remember it? Remember how awesome it was? I feel like when I watch regular cartoons now, they don't have it anymore. I don't know. Like, I feel like there was SpongeBob, and then all these other people are like, "Hey, hey, old man, guess how old you are now? You're so old that you think that the cartoons don't work anymore? What's your problem?" And I know that this mouse doesn't work. Um, it's not that ah, as a person who's posted my own animations on here, you can see that I'm not a big cartoon physics type of guy. Most of my stuff is very, very subtle, very unanimated. If anything, the inaction figures of the animation world, it's a lot of just head tilts and blinks and eyebrow movements. A lot like this is what I'm used to, other than hands coming in from all out of wherever to do nothing that matters. Uh, so I can't complain. There's nothing for me to actually complain about. I am just saying, hey, sometimes it's got to look more animated or less animated. I don't know what the rule is, but I know that there needs to be some kind of rule, i.e., uh, let's say the velociraptors from Jurassic Park, the first. They're like, these are animals. These are some sort of killing machines. They have some thought behind their eyes. There's something magical in them that makes me terrified. I still know that they're not real, that they are something CG and puppet mix, but it's so just wrapped in, I don't know, a specific vision, i.e., the magic that is Steven Spielberg. Whereas in like the third one, and is it the fourth one? I think um, they get even more character, more life, more Disneyfied. I didn't quite understand this. I mean, this happened before this, and I wouldn't have understood it. But when I started understanding it, was a I feel like it was maybe like a 5 or 10 minute little vignette on some movie that I never saw, or maybe I did. I want to say it's called Spirit, the Horse of the West. Horsey, the spirit that tamed the frontier. Whatever it is, it's about a horse, I think, mostly. And that horse has eyebrows, and horses don't have eyebrows, so he has all kinds of expression, and his eyes are set in a way that a horse's wouldn't, because then they would seem somewhat dead-eyed, but yet there's still some life. Again, like when you look at a shark laying after it's had its fins cut off for shark fin soup in one of these shark fin soup documentaries, and they just slowly zoom in on its eye, you're like, oh my god, that's the same as a puppy's eye. This isn't just a monster machine. This is a thing with life inside of it, and they managed to pull that off in the Jurassic Park. Then a movie, uh, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, called The Day After Tomorrow. I do no research for the show. Um, there's a point where I again that movie just breaks your brain every two scenes, because you're literally like, what's happening now? Who? What? Are you? That's not a thing that can be done. That's another thing that can't be done. Oh, what? Come on, Jake Gyllenhaal, you're better than this. But kids got to pay the bills. So in the movie, at one point, they're being chased by wolves, but these wolves seem more like velociraptors from Jurassic Park 3. Like they have this life to them, this movement, and then even more so, they're a little bit like a Disney-fied as well. Like I could see them if they stood up on their back legs and was like, "Come on now, you gotta slow down and let us just talk this out. Let's have a great adventure. We can be pals." I wouldn't have been surprised that, oh, of course this is where this movie's going. That's why everything's been so ridiculous and unbelievable. We got to meet the talking wolves of the Wolf People clan that are going to help you live in the days after tomorrow. But no, they were just supposed to be regular wolves, and they looked like CG wolves. They were just like, what's going on there? They're being chased by CG wolves. I don't know what they're so afraid of. There's clearly nothing there. Again, what was great about the first Scooby Doo movie, and there's not much great about it, but what was great about it was, hey, Scooby's actually like Scooby. Like, he's Scooby Doo. I mean, he's doing all the stuff. It's not just a dog and they're looking at it going, what do you think? And then the dog says something and it's like, are you kidding me? Who cares if the dog talks? That's not what the magic of Scooby-Doo was. The magic was that he ate giant sandwiches and could compress them, and his tail could do things and hypnotize people. He had literal magic powers. He could defy gravity. I mean, they all could with cartoon logic, but he seemed to be able to third wallet, like he got to third wallet, fourth wallet, like a Deadpool character. He knew that this wasn't real, and he wielded the animation somehow, like the animators were on his side, and that's what animation was. Like it was about something that wasn't possible, but it's like, yeah, we just drew it. Like we could draw whatever, but we drew the thing because we can just draw it. That's what animation is. And now when I see or have these meetings about animation and about making something exist, everybody gets really caught up in the, oh, well, what time of day is it? Well, we can get the light to be that, make sure it's like dusk. If that thing actually was falling at 4 feet per second because it weighs this much, and just, what? If this wasn't fun anymore, that's all I heard this meeting was about. We wanted to have, how do we make making cartoons not fun anymore? We put a whole bunch of the real world into it, and then act like it's better because it's more real. Hmm? Like again, Deadpool was kind of a super great perfect movie, not because it had the best CG or it had the best story or the best whatever, but overall, move the microphone, it it didn't act like it wasn't. And I mean, that's kind of the thing, once you break the fourth wall. But the movement, the whatever, it was just cartoony enough that it was like, yeah, people don't really move like how people move. Like once you throw something in a motion capture suit, that's not actually what would have happened in that situation. This is still like the acting version where you don't break that person's limbs, or it's the computer simulated version where it's like, yes, this is kind of the perfect way somebody gets hit, i.e., when the ragdoll body flipping over a car in a Grand Theft Auto is like, this is amazing, this is crazy, but it's all of the physics. Whereas in the real world, I don't know why, but it doesn't look that magical. It just looks dead and faster. We don't see all the frames. Like that's what's amazing. One of my biggest, I want to say, fights that I have with one of our 3D guys is just like, could you do this in like 4 frames? And the answer is usually no. Like it's going to take at least 24 frames. Like that's how long a second is. Like most things don't take an actual second to do, especially not when it's a cartoon. I want you to do that in like 4 frames. Like, yeah, it's going to seem fast and we're not going to see it. And that's kind of the point. We can get away with that. And then it's like, and then if we do a smear and do it like, oh, yeah, yeah, like you can't do anything in 3D. And my heart sinks because you can do anything in 3D. Like I know that's a thing. Like it can do all the things, but because we do 3D for games, you have to deal with the limitations of the system that the game is playing on. So we can't go too crazy, even though technically we could if we could something a bunch of 3D talk. But I just want to use my 2D hand-drawn cartoon tricks in this non-existent world, but the 3D world, they're ruining me, and the game world, because it's just like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, did you make that castle the way I drew it? Well, yeah, basically, except we did a square version because there's too many polygons, too many tries, too many isoparms. Like, why is there always too many? Why can't we just make a circle? No, we're back to the days where we can't make circles anymore unless we break the machine. guys, I come from a different world of the 2D where it's like, oh, well, we can't do this because like the camera's got to go somewhere. Like, no, it doesn't. There's no real camera. It's not really there. You just set it and then tell it not to see the other stuff. I don't know how programs work, but whatever it is, that's what's again with the cartoon is like I just draw it and it exists. And like, I was just having this discussion earlier of the old Bullwinkle hat trick. Like, watch me pull a rabbit out of this hat. In my world, like that's the way everything is. Like it seemed like everything my dad did, my family did, my friends did was always something that I could never expect, no matter what. It was always if somebody reached off screen, if I couldn't see where that was, anything, anything is possible. Basically, it's just so happened it wasn't usually an animated elephant or something else crazy. But what made me crazy at the time was just like my Vulcan logic brain is just like I know that this is a cartoon. I know that this isn't real. The animators are in complete control. Why don't they just draw a rabbit for him? Like that's all it takes is what how do they keep what? And I mean, and that's the joke, but I didn't, I'm a stupid kid. I didn't understand. It's just like he so desperately just wants to show Rocky that he can pull a rabbit out of his hat, but it's dangerous things usually, and it's just terrifying. What's going on with this hat? It's because somebody is refusing to just draw the right thing for you because they think it's funny. Endangering a poor moose who he really doesn't know any better. Let's watch a cartoon about something, probably not about moose. So have you met one of these Earth guys yet? They're all like afraid that if one guy marries another guy, that the whole world will be destroyed. By guess who? A god. Seriously? Relax. Just have fun because I've got a baby that's gonna have sex with your face, and then when it's done, you're gonna have that baby's baby, which is also my baby, and it's gonna explode through your chest, and then eat your leftovers, and kill and eat everything and everyone you've ever cared about. It's just it's what we do. Man-on-man marriage doesn't kill people. Aliens kill people. Right? Am I right? This guy knows what I'm talking about. How about a quick impression to illustrate my point? 4 meters, man. That's in the room, man. Game over, man. We're dead, man. Yeah, game over. 3 words. Acid for blood. If you're in a fight with a guy who has acid for blood, the loser is almost always going to be the guy without acid for blood. And we're back. All right, speaking of cartoon logic and cartoon physics, here's where we come back around to that. Like, yeah, so that's whatever. That's 3D. Depending on how you do it, it either just looks amazing and nobody knows, or it looks so amazing that it is like, wow, that's some pretty fun looking 3D. Like, the first few Harry Potter movies where he started flying on the broom, like, well, we know that's not happening for one. And then the timing of it is it's pushed, I don't know, whatever it is, it's just like this is how it would look, I guess. But if it was real, that person would fall. So you got to go somewhere, push a little further over into the magical realm, because just giving all the weight, doing whatever it is just like, no, it's going to hurt to sit on the broom and you're going to fall off. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It is just like, how do you make things that aren't happening look like they're happening? And in the old days, it's like, we'll just draw all of it and then it won't seem so crazy, right? You watch a Disney movie, somebody flies around on a rug, nobody's like, well, that looks a little weird. Nah, it looks exactly the same as when they were walking down the street or singing a song about flying on a rug. But because we so badly need our real life to have these imaginary things intertwined so that we can convince ourselves that we should be afraid of this movie, or we should be in awe of Neo flying through the sky, which I don't know, that inspired me to think we're going to get a real good Superman movie. I'm still thinking that's possible. So again, I don't know, I'm not complaining. I don't think I'm not begging for anything. I'm not looking for answers. I'm just saying that animation has very much changed from what it used to be to that thing of like it's the illusion of like we're trying to figure out how do we how do we make it look like these people, this monster is doing a thing, and make it seem believable, but it's not about. I don't know. It still goes back to Jurassic Park. We stood on other people's shoulders and we're like, we're trying to achieve this thing, but it's like that's not what we. When we said believable, we just meant we can believe, we can enjoy the story without wondering how was this done, or this is obviously just a drawing. We don't care. We just love the Disney story, and the Pixar's managed to do the same thing where we're not caught up in how it's being presented to us. We're just enjoying it. Whereas when you try to intersplice the real life with a little bit of whatever, you either have to make it part of the plot or do it really well, i.e. Roger Rabbit. Like, yeah, we know these things are hand drawn. Everybody get on the same page, and then we do, and we enjoy the movie. But then, again, we go to a day after tomorrow, and it's just like, we're not on the same page here. We're all on a completely different page. Is he playing a video game? Is this virtual reality? No, it's oh, those are real wolves. All right, cool. We'll totally believe that. Again, even Sharknado. Not that that's even remotely a thing you should be judging in any way. It just exists. Somehow everybody loves it. I'm going to assume it didn't make any money. I don't know how it would. But everything in that, I didn't watch it, but from what I've seen, just looks like, oh, this should be a cartoony version of how everything moves, because nothing in this is remotely possible. So you have to go to the Looney Tunes. You have to Warner Brothers this to a point where it's like they are bouncing and stretching or something, because that's the only way to explain anything that's happening. Because if you're just using real physics, then it's like, oh well, why any of that? Step to the left instead of running ahead, you crazies. What are you doing? They're not. It's not zombies. It's not actually a living tornado. It's just a shark being flung through the air. It's the same as rogue frisbees. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. And then get away from the thing. It doesn't know how to walk around. It doesn't know how to get to you once it hits the ground. You just step back and just be like, this is insane. They're taking them down like they're zombies. It's crazy. Eight-legged freaks, on the other hand, yeah, that's what it was called. Yes, I'm going to stick by that. It had a very Gremlins-like feel where, this town was just overrun with these just huge spiders, and the spiders sounded and acted like gremlins, like the movie Gremlins, where people were trying to escape, but they were just popping up in that way. Again, much like a Mars Attacks, it was about the fun, the cartoon Warner Brothers Coyote and Roadrunner type of adventure that we love, and that's what everything is missing now. I watched like several different things that ended up mentioning the Smurfs and how the animation of that is so perfect, not like beautiful or great, but that's why it's everything just happens as a nice flow. So it doesn't really have a point. It's just, oh, look at this. It's the same as watching a lava lamp. Like that's boring after 9 seconds. Whereas if you watch a standard old Looney Tunes things, like things happen. Your mind has to work. You got to see what's going to happen, or be surprised by what happens. Whereas in this movie and a lot of CG stuff like that, it is about this: how do we keep just a shot that just goes on forever and hypnotizes people and just enjoying what's going on, like an elaborate Rube Goldberg machine that we can see everything's going to work out, but it looks like chaos, but it's nice and calmly and evenly timed so that it's just working out good. That's that's not what that's not why we go. It's the illusion. I want to see something impossible, but I don't know. There was a time when I want to call it like the animation wars, and people were like, "Oh, we're so afraid." Like the violence in cartoons. It's like I get where you're coming from. I completely understand. You don't want things to be violent, but we've gone a different way. Again, instead of like the weird cartoon violence that it is like, well, these are things that just don't happen with devices we don't have. Like everything was expounded upon and crazified. Now it is like we have to make people understand. So in order to teach them a lesson, we have to give them a real world situation, and then we have to have real world things happen. And then once we get to the point where it's like, oh well, now we teach the lesson. No, that person shouldn't have hit that other person with a small regular sized hammer at all. They should just almost do it, then apologize. So I was like, then what? Then what happened? It doesn't matter. in those things, it was like based on old slapstick, crazy vaudeville stuff where people would do that. Like they were mimicking humans and not the other way around. And the hammers were gigantic, and the anvils, like you can't drop anvils on people. They're too heavy to even pick up. So that's not a it's not a thing, but everything keeps getting more and more real. So it's like, well, yeah, of course you can't. You absolutely can't do anything to these characters because now they're real. We had this meeting about this game that we're working on where it's just like, oh, should we have like animals and farm life going on around here? And I was just like, no, no, unless you like, I mean, we could be that kind of game, but all that stuff has to get destroyed. So do we want to kill adorable little animals? Is that what we want to do? Or do we want to just have smoke come up the chimney and sidestep that and, avoid that Disneyism of killing stuff off? Or we kill something off adorable and we endear ourselves to the audience. But for the most part, this will end up being the random slaughter of adorable animals, and it's more soothing to assume that these places are either empty or there's maybe some troublesome bad people in there that kind of deserve it. Either way, these are things that you have to think about in the world where you're going to explode something, you're going to destroy something that is or isn't real. It still affects people in some way. There's a lot of words that it is just like just don't say them, don't use them, and things that you don't draw or depict because this will destroy so and so over there, or this will start a war over here. And just like everything else, you just have to you gotta pick your battles and make sure this is actually to get my message across or do my story or why I'm doing this. In the animation's sake, it's usually when you sit down with an animator and listen to them go on about how much they love animation or why they're doing it, it really is about the movement. Like I wanted to see how expressive I could do this. They get really obsessed with the old Disney stuff where you can see all the rough lines and everything before things kind of became perfected. Uh, I get really confused, or not confused, but I don't know what the word is, perturbed, confused, I guess, emotionally, because when I do see something that is a bit older and realize, oh my God, it pops and boils like crazy compared to stuff now where it's like even the cheapest animation now is so smooth. And then they go through and then, oh, well, now we added a bunch of extra things. So even without hiring extra people, instead of this being two things that just rotate plainly, we can add, like, oh, now we do this. And it's like, without even hiring a new person, it's all just kind of pre-done and they just have to press some buttons. And then because nobody's really there to enjoy the timing or the movement, or you don't have time to enjoy the timing and movement, you just end up pressing the start and end button, and there you go. Like, excellent. And that's the Smurfs movies to me. Is I can't watch this. I was kind of like I wasn't excited, but it was like, I loved the Smurfs. This has nothing to do with the Smurfs. This is I don't know what this is, uh, but the movement of them anyway is just like, well, I hate them. They're they're perfect. I know they're never going to get hurt. I know nothing weird is going to happen. Whereas in cartoons, it is like I know that anything is possible. I'm not going to kill anybody off, but I know that anything could possibly happen. And nowadays I'm just like I know that it's mostly not. Um, when it gets to stuff that's I think more directed towards me anyway. There's a lot of crazy cartoons on now that are just like what? This is for kids? This is insane. This is Looney Tunes times 1,000, and that's awesome. That's great that they still exist. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there that is so I don't even want to say watered down. It's been so processed that it has become this plastic sheet that people call cheese, but it's not cheese anymore. It's some sort of weird see-through plastic sheet that they inject orange color into and then tell you it's cheese. Yeah, it tastes great. Yeah, I'll eat 10 slices right now if I had some, but it's not cheese. Just like you'll ingest my animations, but it's like I feel like I should take more time and do something dramatic and interesting with all of the things that are moving. Like this is what old Disney animation is about, is just crazy hand movements to really express what they're doing. And now it's usually a shoulder shrug and a head tilt or this action. And not that those are bad things. It is just like, oh, you got really nothing else to do. You got to do 26 episodes. You don't really care. Nobody cares. We just got to get this done and make enough money to pay for the next project, and then do the circle of life. The cycle continues. Masavenya. Be good. Be careful. And I don't know. Stay animated. No. Click on all the things down below. Subscribe and share for sure. And I don't know. Share it on your Facebook and whatever you do. Do it for you. Show's over. Show's over. Hey, click on my butt or Ripley's butt to subscribe. Click on my butt. Click on my butt. Click on my butt.